So it is about time in the football calendar where we're all building our lineups for this upcoming European season. And today I'm going to be building an under 23 lineup with you guys that, on paper isn't the best lineup that you can build. It's definitely not the most expensive and it's definitely not the cheapest. But I would argue it is on the cheaper side of things, taking into account the prices of, the better players, the more expensive players in under 23s. And the beauty of under 23s, in August is that one, you can play multiple lineups there. So you can play up to 3 lineups per scarcity. And you can use challenger and contender players to win champion players, which on paper, champion players will be more expensive. And under 23 is unique in that it is the only global competition heading into next season. Whereas, contender, champion, and challenger, if you play your lineups in those competitions, you can only win cards from those competitions. And so, under 23 is sitting in a unique position next year in that you can use, challenger and contender cards to win those champ cards, which on paper, like I said, will be a lot cheaper. So we're going to be building a contender/challenger under 23 lineup that should be able to compete for prizes next season. So starting with the goalkeeper then, we're going in with Nicholas Hadel, who is £13.44 at floor price, recent average of about £12.50. Still has another year of under 23 eligibility, so you're good for the year. He's the number 1 at Rapid Vienna in the Austrian league. He can score relatively well. Has had some stinkers, as most goalkeepers do, but lovely little purple patch here. I can expect very similar scores to probably last season, if I'm being honest. Rapid are always a half decent side in the Austrian league, and he is on the bench as well for Austria a lot of the time. So, and for the price of the keeper, it's relatively low. It's definitely on the lower end of the prices of under 23 keepers right now. So I am a big fan of defensive stacks, meaning getting a goalkeeper and defender from the same team, because they would both benefit from having that clean sheet points added. And we're going with Jonas Uar, who can score really, really highly. He's a fullback from the same team as Nicholas Hadel, of course. And for £1, I don't really think you can go too far wrong. I will say under 23s are always at risk of course, moving club, as is any player. But, if under 23s have had a good year last year, chances are, a club from a better league normally comes up and scoops them. But I think we're relatively safe with those two, knock on wood. That is the defensive stack. We're going to keep our midfielder and extra player in the Austrian league as well. And we're going to go with Luka Susic. He's currently £4.40, which is mental, I think. And Karsgaard, who is a little bit more expensive at £9. Karsgaard had a bit of an injury at the end of the season, but he is now fit. He played in a friendly game on the weekend, I believe. Got himself an assist and maybe a goal, or maybe just a goal. I can't remember which one, but he definitely got himself a goal or an assist. And Luka Susic has been involved in the Croatian setup for this European Championship. So, really, really good player. Again, there is a chance that he might move, Luka Susic. But Karsgaard, I think, is pretty set, to be there next season. So, like I said, this is all depending on moves and whatever. But currently, this would cost you just under £28 on floor price. Recent average is £26.78. And we're obviously only missing a forward. Now, Austrian League is a bit funky in that it does have a big winter break. So do keep that in mind. They do play, in conjunction with the other European leagues, but they do have a bigger break than others. I think Russia have the worst break, but Austria do have a bit of a hefty one as well. So just keep that in mind. Karsgaard likes to take corners, free kicks, etc. Susic, very nice left foot again. Somebody again that does like to take corners and free kicks and whatever. So we have 2 players there that both play on the same team. They'll be under Pep Lijnders next season if they stay, who I think are gonna really dominate the league. Like Salzburg weren't amazing this year. Under Klopp's number 2, I think they're gonna be exceptional. As far as like stacking goes, you could probably go with a forward from Salzburg. They do have a couple to choose from, as you can see here. Karim Konate being the most expensive. They do have Ratov, Simic, and Dorgeles, but I'm not really too in love with going for a Salzburg forward just because of the rotations there. I am a little bit cautious in doing that. So we are just going to have a little look at what's on offer in the forward section, as far as under 23 goes next season. There's obviously, the upper echelons of Lamine Yamal's and Gordon's. There's, some big players here, but obviously they come at a price. And I'm kind of trying to make this more of a budget type of under 23 lineup. Pecu Fernandez, if he stays in Racing Santander for £7, that could be exceptional. I'm like really, really good. Keep an eye on him. Haaland, Bakayoko, these are the big boys. We're trying to avoid them from like a price perspective. But I am interested in Dan Rotz, who plays for FC Twente. Somebody that, as a forward, is quite rare to get a forward that can score well as far as their all-around score goes. Because most forwards on the game are number 9s, and number 9s don't really score that well when it comes to all-around score. They lose a lot of duels and whatever, not really involved in the build-up play. But Dan Rotz is an attacking midfielder, so that's a bit of a cheat code when it comes to being a forward card on Sorare. And as you can see, can score really well. 26 AA in this game, which is mental for a forward. I know he didn't get a decisive in there, but he is capable, as you can see. Multiple decisives over the season. Again, I'm not completely clued up on, is he definitely going to move or not? I'm pretty sure from what I've heard he is going to stay. But take that with a pinch of salt. Transfers can happen very, very randomly in football. So, yeah, just be aware of that. But somebody that's consistently played really well all season and is able to score in those 80-plus points. So, yeah, I think he's a good option. A 10, I think he is. Yeah, just around a tenner. I mean, that brings the price of the lineup to just under 40 quid. £39 to be exact. As far as floor price goes, £38 recent average price. So over the last few days, you could have picked up this lineup for 38 quid. Is basically what that tells us. And yeah, don't get me wrong, you can't go into under 23, you can't go into any competition on Sorare and expect just to have 5 players and those are just going to play for 30 games a season. Like, there's going to be suspensions, there's going to be injuries, and you need to have players, in reserve to fill in for those players. If those things happen, players fall out of form, all sorts of things can happen. Players have babies, well, their missuses have babies, and they miss games of football. Loads of things, loads of unforeseen things happen. So you do have to prepare for that. I'm not saying you can go into a competition and just buy 5 cards. It's not going to work. You're going to need probably 3 or 4 more cards. If you were just going to play one lineup all season, you're probably going to need 8 or 9 cards, I would say. 4 or 5 reserves would, not go amiss. Look, like I said, it's not the most expensive lineup you're going to see, and it's definitely not the cheapest, but it's definitely on the cheaper end of things. 39 quid for a whole lineup where, Lamine Yamal costs like £160 on his own, right? But the goal with a lineup like this is using contender and challenger cards to win the Lamine Yamals, to win the Vinny Juniors, to win the Jude Bellinghams. And so, yeah, I think that's why under 23 for me is a bit of a cheat code next year, as far as being the only global comp. And I think this type of strategy is going to be a viable option for a lot of people. And yeah, I think it works on paper. Again, football isn't played on paper, we know that, but these players are definitely capable. Looking back at their scores last year, as long as their situations don't change too much, they will have half a decent chance of scoring well on given game weeks. I'm not saying you're going to win a prize, a reward every single game week with these cards, because you're probably not going to. Players have off days. But I do think you're giving yourself a half decent chance, with 5 players of that sort of quality that aren't champion players. You're not paying incredible amounts, of money for them in relation to, players in general on this game. So I think it's an interesting strategy. Let me know what you think below in the comment section, lads. Let me know if you are going to be playing under 23s next season, and if so, what are your lineups looking like? I hope you have a great day. If you are completely new to Sorare and you are yet to sign up, there is a link in the description that will get you market credits once you've bought your first 5 cards from the auctions. Subscribe to the channel, lads, if you haven't already, and I shall see you guys in the next video.